And I am Sailor Moon. And in this scene of Sept of the Howling Wind San Diego werewolf venue, we will mourn the loss of a great and noble champion of Gaia. Lefty redeems the fallen. This scene begins in the heart of the cairn, a special place, a sacred place. Geru assemble, filling in the hearts in the umbral side as the spirit of the departed will be called and given a farewell that he deserves. And that's where we will begin as our Geru gather.
So, Cole will arrive pretty quickly with a new friend and a gaggle of friends that he's acquired over his 2 months. Uh, the potentially binary still on his back.
Yes.
Fable at his side, and Lena as well. So
Hey.
this is it.
Sorry, go ahead.
And he'll just say, "So this is it."
And Binary has retracted one arm, probably to periodically rub at her face, which she is hiding against his back for the most part. The other has gone from, holding myself up to death grip mode.
When Kate arrives, it is with Dazzle's Raya, and I believe Jesse and Nick are not far behind them either. Kate just sort of, she's pretty, her face is basically pale. It's easy to tell like she has not gotten much sleep. She seems shaky. She's just silent and looks about like everyone else, very, very sad.
Dazzles has an arm around Kate. Her other arm is around Desiree, and she has a lupus very close behind her. Project Seeker Redemption. Kind of moving in together. Leave Kate with Nick and Jesse, and where she will lead the right. She gives people kind of talk and settle, and where she'll start.
Sierra would have come along with Jesse.
Kate will nod at Cole, and when her eyes pass over Binary, her lips just sort of quivers and she bites it to keep it still. She nods at Nick and Sierra, sort of gratefully. And her eyes go to Desiree and the lupus. She's just sort of worried a little bit.
Desiree will give her a squeeze of the hand, comforting, reassuring.
She'll squeeze back, even though she's shaking.
nobody else really wants to talk or do much of anything, then
Everybody else said what Jesse
go
was
ahead.
doing.
What?
Everybody else said what Jesse was doing. I was fine with going with it.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I don't mind at all. That is exactly prescribed what he's.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a terrible ST and don't have my stuff open that I should have open, so give me a second.
I'll buy some time. Sierra comes on up next to Jesse and is like, she says this very, very quietly. She says, at the very least, it looks like it's going to be a damn good right.
That indeed. He'll kind of give her a small shoulder bump with his shoulder and lean his head on her shoulder for a second.
How tall is that man?
6 foot.
He is substantially shorter. Homeboy gonna have to kneel down.
Homeboy
Well,
will
not
get
kneel,
up
but
for his pack mate, but let's talk about that later.
oh, okay. Sierra will just look over to Cole and just wave to him.
Cole will look back and give her a solemn nod. You can see that he's not exactly in prime shape. You know, his eyes are a little dark, a little sullen, and his face unshaven.
That's fair. She does have a very sympathetic look on her face. It's somewhat similar to the face on this picture here, except with less confusion. Much less confusion. Significantly less confusion. She knows exactly what's going on.
Yep, and Cole won't really make a motion to walk over or anything. He's staying with Binary and Abel, and just yeah.
Okay. So Sarah will just look at Jesse and just say, looks like Cole and them are holding up as well as they could be.
Yeah.
You mind us going to check on Kate?
He will. Yeah, he'll motion because she's not very, very far away. And he'll nod and walk over to her side.
She offers the two of them as much of a smile as she can muster. It isn't much of one, but it's the attempt, at least. And she takes Jesse's hand in her other hand, just nodding at the two.
I'll smile down at her hand and move a little closer to her. You got this.
She nods her head, and you can see that there are unshed tears in her eyes, and she just nods like she doesn't trust herself to say anything that is not yet.
He'll lean over and convey something to her in her ear. I'll PM it to you.
You can just say it.
Yeah, it does take a little more time to write it out and then all that.
That's fine. He basically just sings a few bars to the song to her.
Okay.
He knows which one it is.
You. So I'm ready now.
Oh, okay. There was one thing Sierra was going to say, but it's okay.
No, you can go right ahead and say it.
After Jesse was done, Sierra was just going to. Kate's and Lupus, yeah?
Actually, she's in Hamid.
Okay. So what Sierra's going to do is, she's going to pull Kate in for a very, very tight hug. And she is going to whisper to Kate. Okay to be vulnerable, Kate. And it's okay to feel. Every tear that you shed just makes you stronger.
There's a sort of struggled sound in her throat, and Sierra can tell that Kate just can't verbalize anything. And she accepts your hug more easily than she probably ever has in the past. She doesn't flinch too bad. It's mostly just she's shaking and nodding, and that's when the tears just start silently flowing. Eventually she just has to not be hugged anymore, but she'll manage to just barely whisper out the words.
Kate can feel Sierra's head nod as she lets Kate go and squeezes both their hands.
Okay. So go ahead and roll for this. Freeze would be good. I'll use my phone. Ten dice at diff 4. So Dazzle's the next, right? Feel all of the energy swirling as she prepares Lefty's spirit to be received. And she will then take a deep breath. Thank you all for being here to honor the life and spirit of Alex Lefty Villers, redeems the fallen. Hamid Fostern Philodox, child of Gaia. Lefty was a beacon of hope for a lot of people. Instilled a light in others that very few can do. He was very special to me and many others here. During his rite of passage, he decided that a chance at redemption for a wayward Geru was important. He listened to her story and decided that she could be helped. And that's what he did. He helped people. He helped Geru. He helped kin. He and he loved doing it. I want to ask that all of you here who would like to, a story or a memory you have of Lefty goes with him to his homeland. I will start with my favorite memory. Was actually right before his rite of passage when he decided that he wanted to become a child of Gaia. He said that I was the reason he wanted to be a child of Gaia. He wanted to follow my example. That I was like a mother he never had. Made me feel amazing. Even though I am older, in some ways wiser, but not always, I still learn from the younger ones. Lefty taught me as much as I taught him. And then she will step back and open it up for anyone else who would like to speak. So, PCs, take it away.
Right. If nobody else has the guts to do it first, fine. Cole gets up. And he'll walk towards, I imagine there may be like a, I don't know, like a podium or at least a place to stand of some sort. And
Yeah.
So what's going on up there, ST?
So basically so where Dazzles was standing was in front of like a structure of rocks with Lefty's body on it, and his body is adorned with various flowers and things like that, oils. And she was standing in front of him, facing everyone. So if you want to come up and stand where she stood, she's kind of moved off to the side.
Yep. And Cole will give Binary a nod as she hops down and makes his way over to that spot. When he does, he reaches into his front right pocket and pulls out a paper that he slowly unfolds. He does a sniff of the nose and a wipe of the eye. Lefty meant a lot to us. All of us. How do we measure that? In deeds? In words? We all honor each other in different ways, I guess. Gibbous moons tell the undying tale. New moons teach the lessons we live. Crescent moons treasure our spirits. Half moons honor our wishes and settle our rage. And full moons carry their memory in every strike. We don't always recognize when each other have been hurting. We feel pain. We heal. But we keep moving. Lefty looked for that pain. And he helped us. We're warriors. All of us. Our duty is to Gaia, and all of us will fight to our dying breath. But we're more than that. We are minds, and bright fucking lights and hearts. Too quickly do we forget the pain we share. Lefty taught us to hold on to that. Treasure that. Lefty gave us the gift of love. Don't take that for granted. And he folds the paper back up and puts it in his pocket, and he'll kneel down to the assembly of rocks, and he'll just he'll put his hand out and reach for a center mass and just hold it there for a second. Lower his head. So after a good several moments, he'll bring his arm back and stand back up and go back to binary side.
In the silence, Desiree makes her way forward, a bit nervously at first, then with more determined steps as she gets closer. She turns and looks out at all the people. Kolrai is right. Lefty showed us love. He touched each of us, or we wouldn't be here. I hope to carry that love, that compassion for each other forward. I hope I can do 10 times, if not 100 times, the work he did before I finally perish from this earth. But even that wouldn't be enough to make up for his loss. My favorite memory of Lefty was when him and Binary snuck back over to the trailer and we gave Bamboozles a 2-liter of Mountain Dew. Watching him, he was like almost running on the walls. It was hilarious to see that, the laughter that we all and happiness that we seem to share in those small moments, because in the end that's really all we have left, those moments. And she'll turn and set a flower on his body and then walk back.
Sierra starts to slowly make her way up now. She'll mosey on up and say, the one memory of Lefty's that sticks out for me is it's a rather unconventional one. You see, I was Cleath at the time and still new to the sept, and we were embarking upon one of our first missions, the attack on the Black Spiral Hive in the city. We had made our way through, and we had decided that we were going to funnel the opposing force, the spirals, into a choke point. As they went in, Lefty jumped at them, and he said something that I don't think I'm ever going to forget. He shouted "fools" at the top of his lungs. It echoed off the walls. Certainly hurt my ears. I was right next to him. She'll just kind of poke her ears. But in that, I saw a man, and afterwards I saw a man that was capable of making light of even the darkest situations, which is not entirely in the province of New Moons. He'd always found ways of either making light of a situation or from reining in the impulse that Minigaru are wont to have, including myself. And so for that, Lefty redeems the fallen. Alex has my respect. And Sierra will walk on down, walk right back over to Jesse.
Jesse will smile down at her, and he'll take the shoulder bag that he's had on, and he'll set it on the ground. And he's carrying a Native American small hand drum with the hammer, and he'll walk out to the part where people have been standing, and he'll just quietly sit down, and he'll begin to beat the drum softly in the time of a heartbeat. And as he's beating it, he will chant a song out. Only about a minute. I'm not going to do it myself because it is actually sacred. And it's very soft and caring and tender. And you can hear the loss in it. But it's not overly so, just a somber, subtle, and silent acknowledgement. When he finishes, he'll stand up, and where people have been putting tokens and mementos, he'll set the drum down with its hide hammer, and he'll walk back over to Kate and put his arm around her waist again.
Didn't pass my willpower roll. Cole's going to, on seeing that, turn his head and spit on the ground.
Is there anyone else who would like to go, as Abel intends to go last?
Yeah, I was. I wasn't. I wasn't sure that anyone else wanted to go.
Abel just kind of, was head kind of flicks forward as if to kind of say, "Go ahead," to you.
She nods. People can see that she has two things in her hands. A wrinkled stack of what looks like print paper that something's been printed out on. And she walks up to where people have been standing. And she gives everyone just a very long look as she speaks. And she sort of clears her throat. And she's obviously shaking and whatnot. I first came scared. I didn't know what this place was, who any of you were. I didn't know. I had never seen the outside. And Lefty was part of me learning how to make my own family, how to make my own memory. How do you pick a favorite memory of someone that clearly everyone cared so much about? How do you pick and choose which little moments were the most important? I'm happy to be the living, walking remembrance of all of those that my life might have be a testament to what he stood for, to what he wanted to see in each of us. He had hopes and dreams for every single person here, every single person on set. I look forward to being there to see those dreams realized as each of you realize your own. But the only reason I'm here is because I select to be with you. And she'll look at Sierra and Dazzles and Binary and Jesse, and then back down to the ground. Because you were all part of embracing me. I have to pick the funnest memory. I think I had only been here a few days. And Sierra, and Binary, Gabby, and Lefty, and a few others took me to the lake for the first time. I had never seen water so big. I'd never seen so much. And they got me to take my first chance. Literally a leap into the middle of the lake when none of us knew that I didn't exactly know how to swim. It was a leap. It was my first one. And he was part of that. I will forever be grateful to him and everyone that I consider my family. Every one of you for being a part of that. She turns around and sets what is now easily recognizable as sheet music And she just sets a few flowers on top. She leans down and she just whispers something. I doubt anyone will be able to really hear it, but she just whispers, "I'm yours forever." She gets up and takes Desiree's hand and looks at Seeks. Sorry, I keep forgetting her name. And Jesse. And then finally Binary. It's just this soft, sad, loving look on her face.
A few seconds after Kate goes back into the crowd, Abel will walk forward in front of the in front of Lefty. He will stand before the crowd. Hi, Kate. I don't really have a memory to choose from. I have something else instead.
Side chat.
See him straighten up a little bit. As I'm sure you're all aware, stand before you today a representative of friends in mourning, accepting grief, and our nation in shock. We are all united not only in our desire to pay our respects to Lefty, but rather in our need to do so. Such was his extraordinary appeal that the dozens of service all over the sept, who may have only known him for the shortest of times, feel that they too lost someone close to them on the hour of that day. It is a more remarkable tribute to Lefty than I can ever hope to offer him today. Lefty was the very essence of duty, strength, and compassion. These wondrous qualities would come to serve him well in the years to come. He was born in a harsh environment that tested every facet of who he was and he would eventually come to be. From a young age, he lived on the streets, making do with what little he could come by. He saw many have their lives violently taken from them in a world that simply yearned to embrace them. In his darkest hour, he was even forced to take away the life of the person he loved most. This was a string of horror that would break a lesser person. It would have been easy for Lefty to become bitter and hardened, to retreat away from the world and hide away in peace. No one would have blamed him. No one could. But that was not Lefty. And not once did he ever let the world dictate to him who he was, with every trial becoming more attuned to the suffering of those around him, facing his head up to the cruelty and injustice of the world a little higher every day. Every moment he could find, he would give a voice to those who had none, to champion the causes of those who could not do so for themselves. It's funny. It's during Lefty's Rite of Passage, there's a rumor that he would listen to his favorite song, Paper Trail, to the Gurul to calm him down. I've heard Lefty sing. I still feel sorry for him. But brevity aside, I won't lie. I'm tempted to canonize his memory. It's a thing we Galliards are good at. It's easy to play up every triumph and sing of someone's every glory. And to be honest, I could never be more honored to do so. But Lefty, you deny me this. Your memory, your qualities, they stand tall enough that you need not be seen as a saint. To do so would betray the very core of your being, to betray the integrity you stood for and the joy of life you gifted to everyone around you. I'll always treasure the days I was able to spend with you. In a way, it was as if I was been taken back in time. Two stupid brothers, both youngest in the family. It's a testament to your strength that despite one of the hardships a man could go through, you remained intact and true to yourself to the very end. I've no doubt that Lefty would want us today to pledge ourselves to protecting our cubs from a similar fate that he suffered. And I do this here, Lefty, on your behalf, that we will not allow them to suffer that anguish that used to regularly drive you to tearful despair. And beyond that, on behalf of everyone you touched, I pledge that we, your sept, your family, will do all we can to continue the imaginative way in which you are steering these exceptional young girls so that their souls are not simply immersed by duty and tradition, but can sing openly as you had always wished for. Myself, Cole, and most of all, Binary. We all cared desperately for you today. More than I could ever possibly imagine. We are all injured over the loss of someone who we have only known for what seems like a fleeting moment. I would like to take this moment to give thanks to the small miracles Lefty gives to us even now. And above all else, I would like to give thanks for the life of a man I'm so proud to be able to call my friend. The unique, the complex, the extraordinary and irreplaceable Lefty, whose beauty, both internal and external, will never be extinguished from our minds. He steps down.
And while she's still struggling, and especially in the wake of that, has tears running down her face, Binary's going to stiffly not go for the front, but kind of edge around the crowd and move over to Dazzles, reaching out like she's done a million times in the past to kind of tug lightly on her sleeve, almost sheepishly.
Will look down or over. What form is she in?
Oh, she's in Hamid.
She's in Hamid, okay. She'll look down. She seems a little surprised.
And it takes her a minute, and she scrubs at her face, failing miserably to look all hard-ass, and just kind of mutters in a choked-up voice, "I didn't know if he ever told you, Raya, but I don't see would. And he told me once he wanted to be burned and scattered." And then immediately starts kind of falling apart.
Dazzles will lean down and take Binary up in her arms.
And as much as she's acted like a teenager going through grief for the first time, she falls into it and hugs her tightly and covers her in all kinds of tears and snot.
Dazzles cries with her. She whispers, "I was already planning on doing that, but thank you for telling me."
And she'll give a weak little nod And when Dazzles moves to continue whatever else they have going, she'll, again, very stiffly, very stiltedly, just kind of slip back around the gathering until she's back in the middle of a pile of get. And plant her face back in Cole's already ruined shirt.
It's okay, I didn't like that shirt anyway.
Actually, Dazzles would kind of motion for Binary to stay by her side.
She doesn't necessarily look excited, but she really doesn't seem to have the energy to fight her on it.
Okay. And, seems that she wants her there for a purpose.
Yep. She stands there and just kind of awkwardly wraps her arms around herself. She is wearing Lefty's old jacket, just kind of tucks her face into the collar.
Wisdom walks out bearing a torch that she offers to Dazzles.
Dazzles takes the torch, and she looks to Binary and motions for her to take the torch as well with her.
And she visibly struggles for several moments with her face kind of contorting as she tries to kind of get it under control. And she'll finally, again in an almost sheepish way, will take that little step or two and set her hand on it.
And they will step forward and set the body of Lefty ablaze with the torch. She blows the torch out after the body is lit and hands it to Binary to keep. Again, say, I would really like to speak with you when you're feeling better.
She chokes a couple times and nods and just kind of holds onto the torch, kind of pulls it against her chest, and not close enough that she's in danger from the fire, but probably right about where they stop to do it. Just kind of starts sinking down until she's just not even kneeling or being cinematic about it, just kind of slowly goes down until she's sitting on her ass and crying. And sobbing in the most ugly, heinous cry humanly possible, really.
I'll scoop her up again and hold her, and she will walk her over to where Cole and Abel are. Off to Cole. Dazzles is also sobbing, just so you know.
Cole gives her gives the den mother a nod and ushers Binary to sit between him and Abel, and looks back to Dazzles and says, "Whenever you got a minute, it's just us. I'd like a word."
Of course. And then Dazzles will go over to Kate and Desiree.
Jesse will let her go.
Kate is just a total wreck. tears everywhere, and she's shaking and clearly just doing everything, just everything she can to keep it together.
Dazzles hugs onto Kate. And everything will be okay. Take Desiree into her arms too and just give them both a really tight hug before she goes to end the rite. She'll take her place back, try and compose herself. Her eyes are red, just much like pretty much everybody else here. We now send the spirit of Alex Lefty Villers to home to be with his ancestors, his beloved Robin and Unicorn. And she closes her eyes and lets that set in for a moment.
Those
Just take it.
closest, like physically closest to Kate can hear her whisper, with bears and fish.
What was the whisper?
Oh, the whisper was the bears that fish across.
And with that, Dazzles closes her eyes and takes a few deep breaths, and the rite has ended. She will continue to. There are people there that are going to monitor the body burning, but it will burn until it's ash.
Wisdom walks forward, putting a hand on Dazzle's shoulder and speaks to the people. You may stay and watch over his body if you wish, until it is no more. Know that you are not alone in this time of grief. We all grieve. We have made sure that there is food, drink, lefty. Remember the good that he did, that he has obviously shown many of us. Go now. Mourn. For the worm does not sleep, and he will come again, and we will be ready. And she then begins consoling Dazzles.
There we go. Oh my god, my computer is lagging. Dazzles falls into the arms of her packmate, and Alpha kind of loses herself. All of her composure is gone. Everything that she held in to enact this rite is being poured out on display in front of everybody.
And if the players have nothing else they want to do in this scene, we will go ahead and end this. Thank you, players, for crying. Thank you, watchers, for crying. Hope you enjoyed. Good night.